Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix and welcome to another mod guide video. This time we'll be digging into Nightsister Acolyte, Nightsister Initiate, and Talia. All three of these are auxiliary characters that you might use with your Great Mothers team depending on the situation. None of them are having too huge an impact on the fight, but they can all be situationally useful. I know a bunch of folks are curious how you might nominally set them up, so happy to make this video. Before I go any further, I just want to apologize if I sound a little bit stuffed up. I am fighting a head cold, but, you know, the show must go on. I'm overdue making this video, so let's go ahead and get started. As a reminder, we'll go ahead and take a look at the Great Mothers and how that affects, characters under her leadership. So from the lead, Threads of Destiny, Nightsister allies gain 30% defense, max health, and 30 speed. Blessed allies have plus 20% max health and offense. The Great Mother's unique to the old ways says, Nightsister allies gain 30% accuracy, max health, and tenacity, but cannot be revived. And whenever an enemy is critically hit, Great Mothers and all Blessed Allies gain 1% offense, stacking for 2 turns, and recover 2% protection, doubled if the enemy had vulnerable. Okay, so our first character, let's go ahead and jump in on the TLDR for Nightsister Acolyte. Set types should be speed and crit chance or crit damage and crit chance. It's mostly about what's going to be less expensive for you to take off other characters to put on this one. Like I said, all three of these characters, relatively low priority, so I wouldn't make any decisions to break the bank. Arrow should be a speed arrow. Arrow should be a speed arrow. Circle doesn't matter so much. I think I would prefer protection over health, just to have that overall a little bit of opportunity to have protection, restoration, stuff like that, but it's not going to make a big deal either way. Triangle should be crit damage, and cross should be offense. Turn order doesn't really matter. She's not going, when she goes, doesn't really affect how the rest of the kits function on the Great Mothers team. Because you figure your core is Great Mothers, Morgan, Night Trooper, and DTP. So they're all kind of doing their thing, and she's kind of off to her side. Okay, stat priority should be crit chance over speed over offense. I just say here that for crit chance, you want to hit about 85%. She has a unique that gives her another 25%, putting her comfortably at 110, which means that you have very high reliability to critically strike in a world where crit avoidance is becoming increasingly common. So let's go ahead and take a look at her kit. First, her unique, Thrill of Victory. Nightsister Acolyte has plus 25% crit chance and recovers 40% health on each critical hit. While Nightsister Acolyte has stealth, she has plus 50% offense. Alright. From her basic, Strike from the Shadows. Nightsister Acolyte has a 90% chance to gain stealth for 2 turns. Then, deal physical damage to target enemy. If Nightsister Acolyte has stealth, this attack deals double damage. So yeah, you have the check first, the 90% chance of whether or not you go into stealth, and then you do damage. And if you did have stealth before you go to do the damage, you do double damage. Nice. Alright, so one thing of note is that this basic is physical damage, whereas her first special only does special damage. Deal special damage to target enemy. Oh, by the way, the skill is called Sacrificial Magics. Deal special damage to target enemy on a critical hit, gain 30% turn meter, and dispel all debuffs on a random Nightsister ally. This attack gains 20% critical damage for each active Nightsister ally and each debuffed enemy. On a finishing blow, reduce the cooldown of this ability by 1. Alright, so like I was saying, getting to about 85% crit chance, this is where I'm at right now. So what, about 21% will get you there, 21% crit chance added, something like that. This is Relic 8, so maybe a little more if your relics are lower. But when you're doing this, you're having very high reliability for your crit on the basic, and when we take a look at the special, we see that this puts you in the neighborhood of about 70% special crit chance, which is really very nice. 70% historically is about the minimum number I'm trying to have on a special damage dealer that I'm trying to have relying on crit. And then, of course, you get the 25% crit chance from the unique on top of that. So currently 96% special crit here. Very nice stuff. Okay, as far as the mods themselves, I actually do have these pulled up here. So let me blow that up just slightly for you guys. Yeah, I went with the speed and crit chance setup, right? You see that speed arrow is what I usually go with, but as it turned out, I had a random, fairly fast offense primary arrow in a speed set that I put on here. And when you see it all taken together, I'm still just over 300 speed, which is a nice spot to be on what is essentially a scrap slash optional character that I may or may not regularly use. Okay, so I went with being decently fast so that if there's any reason she gets pulled out of stealth, she'll have hopefully very little time until her next turn, and she can use her basic, hopefully, and try and put herself in. Got the crit damage triangle, as much offense as I could reasonably stack in. Having the offense primary on the arrow and the cross looks really nice here, considering that we're not in an offense set. So yeah, just shy of 9k physical and just shy of 13,800 here for special damage. Strong setup, but as you can see from our look at her kit, her main benefit to the team is strictly damage. Okay, so on that Great Mother's team, she's not going to hurt anything. It's up to you whether or not you feel she's the best add for a given situation. All right, next character. Let's take a look and do our TLDR for Nightsister Initiate. Set types should be offense and crit chance, I think. Arrow should be speed, or, if you had a fast offense primary that you weren't otherwise using, you should probably find a better home for it than Nightsister Initiate. But again, you could use it here. All right, Circle should be not making much a big difference either way. I still prefer protection over health. This is a weird Nightsister team with Great Mothers where it's all about one life to live. So giving usually a good amount of protection over the health bar is a pretty good situation for characters that only get to live once. All right, Triangle should be crit damage or crit chance, depends on your point of view there. Cross should be potency or offense. The fact is, this character does have some debuffs in her kit, and I'm not saying you have to go all the way with a potency 2-piece or something like that, but maybe a potency cross will get you most of the way there. If not that, go with offense primary. Turn order, once again, doesn't really matter so much. This character's kind of doing her own thing off to the side. She offers a different threat than Nightsister Acolyte because she passively has a very high chance to counterattack, and depending on the opponent's counter that they're using, that could be devastating. We just came out of a meta where we had these set 16 Datacrons with that long text support, and people were using a crew lead slacker team to take on the Great Mothers. One of the ways that you could inhibit this team was by setting Nightsister Initiate in it, because if it should happen that Slacker comes out of his ultimate without maintaining that turn meter loop so he can go right back in, Nightsister Initiate might counterattack him and kill him in one shot because he's been lowering his max health by having that continuous turn meter loop. That might not be happening so much here in the near future now that that Datacron is gone, but that's kind of the thought behind why you would put this character in the team. All right, stat priority, crit chance over offense over speed. I do like 85 to 110% crit chance, although I will say at 85%, she does have a special where she puts out crit chance up, which is worth 25% crit chance. So again, just with an 85% from mods and then this special, she'll be at 110 and safely able to critically strike. All right, let's take a look at her kit. First, her unique Nightsister Retaliation. If Nightsister Initiate has full health, she has plus 100% counter chance. Otherwise, she has plus 100% offense. So again, I think the scary part about her being here is mostly the counter chance. Since we want her to be at full health to have that, it kind of makes sense that you would actually lean more into that protection primary for her circle, right? By keeping a higher amount of protection, that means we maximize the amount of time that her full health bar is staying full. Otherwise, if you were so inclined, you could go ahead and have her in a health primary, and then once she loses that little, that first percentage of max health, she has that plus 100% offense. You could slice it either way. Speaking of which, let's take a look at her basic. Slice Open. Deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict damage over time for 3 turns. On a critical hit, inflict damage over time for 3 turns. So up to 6. Okay, 6 dots. That's quite a bit. All right, first special, Cut Down. All allies gain crit chance up for 3 turns. Then deal physical damage to target enemy. Okay. Second special, Severing Strike. Deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict buff immunity for 2 turns. Okay, so you've got the dots on basic, you got buff immunity on this skill. Not, it's not a huge amount of effect going on to the battlefield because it's a very outdated kit and stuff. But if you wanted to get some benefit out of it, that's where I was saying the potency can come in. So let's talk here now about the mods themselves. I went with the offense and crit chance sets as seen here. We've got the speed arrow. I went with the crit chance triangle only because it was less costly for me to just throw that on her than to take up a crit damage triangle. I'm actually pretty well spoken for my crit damage triangles these days. It's something I really got to look at opening up a little bit more on. But for the time being, this will do. And yeah, I know everybody in the comments is going to say, highly relatable Tassenix problems, having just a random 24 speed crit chance triangle to throw on Nightsister Initiate, like so much garbage. And I hear you. These are not normal problems, but that's where we are. So, if you can throw a crit damage triangle on, but crit chance will do. Okay? I did go with the potency cross, and oh my god, I really got to find a better home for this mod. This mod is ridiculous. Look at this mod. 6% off. Why is this mod on this character? I am legit upset with myself. You will witness. I'm putting a mark on this character so it shows up at the top of my list so that I fix this, because that should not be. That is way too much good mod for this character. Are you kidding me? Okay, so anyway, we've got this absurd potency cross that has no business on this character here. And we see that she's just over 70% potency, so not, breaking the bank. But again, just for, the price of 1 primary, it's a decent bit added, and we'll get a little more mileage out of her basic and her 3rd skill, yeah? Okay, so having covered that, I think we're ready to move on to our last character, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and do the TLDR for Talia. Set type should be offense and health, or just straight up health. I've seen that a lot. Arrow, ideally, would be health over speed, but certainly wouldn't fault you for going with a speed arrow. Circle should definitely be health, I think. Triangle should be crit damage or health. I don't think there's a bad way to go there. And then cross should be health. Turn order, once again, doesn't really matter. She's only going to get maybe 1 or 2 turns in the whole fight. She's got 1 skill that's really defines how she plays. Kind of a big advantage to bringing her, but that's about it. So her turn order, if she goes faster than somebody, slower than somebody, doesn't really matter here. All right, stat priority should be health over offense over speed. All right, let's dig into her kit. Just for the sake of completeness, I will read out her leadership ability, although it is severely outdated, very much not used in the modern game. Nightsister Nimbleness says, Nightsister allies gain 16% evasion, and other allies gain half that amount. When an ally evades, they have a plus 50% chance to recover 5% of their max health. Man, is that bad. Okay, so having covered that, let's talk about her basic Draining Strike. Deal physical damage to target enemy, dealing plus 50% damage if Talia is below full health. Nightsister allies recover health equal to the damage dealt. So, thinking about mod sets, you're thinking, okay, this is where you could see maybe an offense set coming into the picture, because you're, and also having those health primaries, like I'm saying, because that means she'll have low natural protection at the start of battle, so it'll be relatively easier to get her below full health. And once she's below full health, this basic is dealing 50% more damage. And then whatever damage it's doing, it's healing allies. So, nice. Alright, first special, Water of Life. Dispel all debuffs on Nightsister allies. Talia consumes 20% of her max health and gains 15% turn meter for each active Nightsister ally. Other allies recover 50% health and gain 30% turn meter. This is an incredible skill. It's a group cleanse, turn meter boost for herself, for her allies. It's a heal for them. It's a pretty big deal, and all it really costs is a 5-round cooldown and 20% of Talia's max health. Alright? Not so bad. Second special, Harrowing Assault. Deal special damage to target enemy and inflict damage over time and stagger for 2 turns. If Talia has full health, consume 10% of her max health to deal double damage. Otherwise, she immediately uses Draining Strike, her basic, so she could follow up off this special with a basic, you know. Yeah, you know, it's an okay skill, but I feel like just her being alive is more beneficial than her having the opportunity to land this stagger. If you really wanted to make the case for another potency cross here, I wouldn't be super duper mad at you, but I went health. Let's actually take another good look here at the mods. Okay, so as far as set types, again, this is offense and health that I went with myself. Health primaries on the arrow, the cross, the circle, crit damage triangle. We see that at Relic 8, I'm just over 120,000 health. I'd modded for about 250 speed. It's not very fast, and that's okay, because she's pretty much... I'm really just worried about her getting to use Water of Life just once. And that will be her first move, so good. Alright, crit damage triangle, no particular amount of potency added, and then just some offense. You know, I'm not trying to really have her critically strike. I'm not worried about that. It's mostly just about Water of Life. So, as far as applications goes, so yeah, in 3 versus 3, Great Mothers plus Morgan is core. A lot of times, in this anti-slacker meta I was talking about, you could see a lot of people using DTP, because he has an AoE physical damage, very threatening to slacker potentially. You might otherwise use Nightsister Spirit. Those are pretty common choices. And that way you would have DTP freed up to go with Night Trooper under DTMG, something like that. So, all that is to say, in 3 vs 3, I don't think any of these characters we've covered in this video are going to see service under Great Mothers. They're just not good enough to make the cut, in my opinion. That being said here, in 5 vs 5, you know, like I said, you have your core team. Great Mothers, Morgan, Death Trooper Peridia, and Night Trooper. Talia offers this defensive cleanse, okay? This is a pretty nice ability that otherwise is not really existing on this team, so I like this a lot. We've already talked about Initiate. The counter attack is a specific, you know, condition that you're putting into the team to deal with something like Slacker, but now that that meta has more or less passed, I question how often you'll be really using Initiate. Acolyte is, for me, the second best choice to Talia. Acolyte offers damage. Not damage anywhere near in the amount that DTP and Night Trooper are capable of putting out, to say nothing of Great Mothers having a surprising amount of punch. Alright, but if you wanted to add more damage onto a team that is already strong on damage and just have that much of a snowball in your favor, I could accept that, yeah. But for me, as far as ranking them, I would choose Talia over Acolyte, over Initiate on paper. That's not with respect to any particular Datacron set being active. But yeah, I think this just about wraps up everything to do with the Great Mothers faction. This one took a while to get done, and I am sorry for the delay in between the releases of these videos. Life has been crazy lately, but I appreciate your interest. There's been a lot of folks sending notes. Hey, Tass, when are you going to come out with that? Hey, Tass, looking forward to you picking back up on these videos. I hear you guys. I really appreciate the push and the interest. That does help me get up and go when I am just, you know, with everything going on day to day. But regardless, if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you want to see more from the channel, hit subscribe and you'll get the notifications. And as always, looking forward to your comments, interactions here on YouTube and in Discord. Looking forward to kicking off whatever faction I end up doing next. Let me know what you want to see. And of course, until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.